Welcome back to Trinidad and Tobago. And we are switching our focus and we're talking about the secrets to winning in life and business, the will to win, how to succeed in sales and in life. And before we begin our conversation with Adrian, who's making international waves, he's received international recognition and now listed as a best-selling author. I just want to clarify one statement. This was made earlier in one of our previous interviews with Chrislyn Moore, the owners of the Mount Irving Bay Resort. They would like to make it clear that the resort is not for sale. So we will try to get to the bottom of some of the statements that have been made in the public domain, but the owners are saying that the institution and the resort is not for sale. So a point of clarification there. Moving now on clarification of moving forward in life. Adrian, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Now, your book has received so much international attention. I see that you have your award with you, and we saw the glitzy event taking place at the US. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, it's two books, actually. Initially, based on the work that I do in training and development, I guess it was a natural transition or a next step process for me to, come out with a book to see how much more people you could reach. Because there's only one of me, and there's only so many people I could talk to one-to-one. And I really got started with this book, How to Succeed in Sales and in Life. It took me 2 years and 7 months to have it, to begin writing it, and then, well, releasing it in July of this year.
What inspired you to write it?
I personally believe in the quote that Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the top 5 people you spend the most amount of your time with. And I started surrounding myself with more influential people, people who I could learn from, mentors per se, not necessarily locally, but internationally. And seeing that they are, multi-best-selling authors and, award recipients in their own right, I was inspired by them to, cut my own path into, what I do.
Was it difficult to take the leap?
At first, when you seem like you don't have the resources, it feels that way. But then initially, when you get down into taking action, you realize that the resources come to you. And the process is a lot smoother as long as you start. The hardest thing is to make the decision to start, but when you start, it becomes easy.
You say that you look at that conversation, because it is true. You are a reflection of the people you spend most of the time with. Putting the book out there and starting that process, you obviously, a lot of people will attach their worth. This is your second book.
Mm-hmm.
So the first was really the one of jumping the hurdle of taking that risk.
Yep.
Let's talk about that time in terms of getting involved and doing that. What made you decide, I am going to take the plunge, I'm going to put pen to paper and start attempting to put this in writing and put my name to this, put it out there for the world to judge me?
To be very honest with you, it was a matter of cost, as well as, getting the work done, the commitment to sitting there and writing a book. And the first hurdle was always cost, because I've always heard that, it takes a lot of money to write a book and put it together, and then you think back, well, how much time does it take? And then I had a conversation with one of my colleagues in the UK who actually published a book. And he said, Adrian, it doesn't cost that much, and it doesn't take that much time. You just need to commit a little bit of time whenever you're in the mood to write, and just start the process, just don't stop. And when he gave me an average costing of, of what his one was, I said, hey, this is not bad. And I began laying out the format for my book, because he gave me an idea of how to do it. And I just started writing. And as I started writing, ideas started coming to me to lay it out. And although I did not commit to it every day, I was committed to it at least once a week, twice a week. I'd sit down for 2-3 hours and I'd write. And that's why it took me 1 year to actually write the book. Just the writing, not the publishing or anything like that.
What do you think makes a good salesperson?
How you communicate with people, how you build relationships, and how you be genuine and real with people. Being honest, giving out that vibe of love, people would pick up on that vibe and they'll be drawn to you. You
have a situation where retailers such as Sears, they're now filing Chapter 11 for bankruptcy. Is the art of sales dead when you have online transactions and people opting more and more to disassociate themselves with the human interaction?
E-commerce, online transactions, it's one of the mainstream directions in which sales is going to go, in the way in which consumers are buying. but you still have people that needs, they can research a lot of information. When we go to shop, we go online, we do our research, we get the technical data, we get the pricing, we get the comparisons. But sometimes we need that little human touch, that interaction to make us, make a decision. Why should I go with you rather than them? And that human touch, it's still needed. And maybe in some cases, you have companies that lose the focus from that, and they focus only on e-commerce when sometimes their customers' buying behavior really involves that one-to-one touch.
And you look at you talk about it's all about the human interaction, that human connection and being real. Since the success of your book, how has it changed your life?
I'm more inspired. I have a lot of people that send me pictures with the book. A lot of people post comments and send me messages, and it feels inspiring. It makes you want to do more. So the more that you give, the more that you can help people. Every morning I post a positive quote on all my social media platforms, and people tell me they look forward to that. And I say it feels good inside, and because it feels good inside, I want to do more of it. That's where the inspiration comes from.
Now, you look at the success. Were you surprised by the success of the book and being then recognized for it?
Yes.
Why? Obviously you kind of put your mind there. You said you've been around award-winning authors, that you positioned yourself in that place.
Well, I have to give you the background story from this one and how it transitioned to the other one, to the award.
Right.
And it really started when I started with this book. I wanted to, how can I get people who don't know me but are very influential to be a part of it? So I reached out to some of these people, totally random strangers, and I said, would you like to be a part of my book? I would make a recommendation of your book and the work that you do, and I'll put your website in it, if it works out well. And it so happens that one of the persons that, there were a few, that said, okay, his name is Jim Cathcart, and he's a 2012 inductee into the National Speakers Hall of Fame, and a former or past president of the National Speakers Association. He said, Adrian, okay, I love your vibe, I love your energy, I'll give you a story. He ended up giving me 2 stories that I put into the book. And he also wrote the foreword for this one. But then in December of last year, he sent me an email. He said, Adrian, do you want to write a book with me? I think you're a perfect fit for the work that you do, the energy that you have. And I was like, well, yeah, because you contributed to mine. I couldn't have said no to that. And it turned into both of us writing a book with Brian Tracy, who is an international speaker and famous author of probably over 80 books by now. And when we did the entire thing. I wrote a chapter. My chapter was called Persistence Through Relationships, which is basically what we talk about, building relationships with people. And when it was released on the 30th of August of this year, just the other day, it hit best-selling status on Amazon. It ranked number 34. And because of that, the Dixon Nansen agency had a Quilly Awards event for all best-selling authors from around the world in Hollywood and Los Angeles, and I was invited to go and receive this award.
Has it sunk in yet that you are a boy from Faizabad who has been recognized for writing a book on the art of selling?
Just last night, I was having a conversation with my barber, actually, because I had to cut my hair before I come here. And he said, he actually pointed that out to me, and that's when it hit me. I was like, I didn't really think about it.
What do you say to all of the young people out there? Because I follow you on LinkedIn, and I remember first, I don't even know how you came up as a page recommendation on my LinkedIn. And then I started looking, so I knew, even before Ivan Tulsi, who's looking this morning, sent me your contact, I knew who you were. And I saw that you had gotten the award in LA. And I thought, this is such an interesting story. And I did a little more research into that. What do you say to the young people who see Trinidad and Tobago as the be-all and the end-all? You have had your name on the same cover with some of the best-selling authors on the planet.
It's about building relationships. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to make the right connections and surround yourself or rub shoulders with the people that you could learn from. Just because you have a peer group that may be thinking along the same lines as you do, or doing the things that you are interested in doing, you know, think about the person you'd like to become and join those groups. You know, every time you go to do a task, every time, for example, when I go to write a book, I didn't write the book because of who I am in this present moment. I thought about how would the person I'd like to be write this book. And every time you think about that, you raise yourself to a higher level and you do a better job.
Did you always see yourself as a writer?
Never. I never did see myself as a writer. You could have asked me that about 3 years ago and I said no.
How did you end up in sales?
I started at the age of 19 locally at BMW. And within the first 2 years of selling BMWs, I was in the top 3. And, you know, building relationships with people of that nature, and selling something that, you know, I had fun with, I enjoyed selling. It gave me the experience, it gave me the exposure to push myself.
You're no longer selling at BMW.
No, I actually do technical training for BMW.
I saw that, yeah. So I thought it's interesting that you say that you started off as a salesperson there because you're now doing corporate training for the Answer Motor division.
No, the brand itself calls me and I fly and go and do technical training on the new cars every time a new one comes.
What does that feel like, considering you were once a salesman selling it and now you're selling to the parent, you're training the parent company on it?
Oh, what goes around comes around. It's, I believe in doing the things that I enjoy. I don't want to go to work and work hard. I don't believe in working hard. I believe in working smart. And working smart is doing something that you enjoy, because for me, it doesn't feel like work. I have fun explaining the new technologies about cars with the staff.
Did you always like cars?
I do, yeah, I think I always did like cars.
So can you sell something you don't like?
Yes, you can.
Really?
You can sell something
You talk about passion and love, but if you're not passionate and if you don't love what you do, how can you sell it or deliver on it?
As long as you have a certain amount of knowledge about the product, but you have passion for people, you don't have to like the product, but if it is that you know it might be the right fit for somebody, you know, that they can use it, they can benefit from it, you can still sell it.
What's your next big adventure?
My next big adventure is to travel the world, do a TED Talk.
I'm pretty sure that you're on that way. If you follow him on LinkedIn, you can see there are many, many connections. You know, writing the book, as you said that 3 years ago, you would never see yourself as a writer. A lot of times there's a perception that we don't recognize our local talent, that we don't embrace, and it's only when you're given the recognition from maybe another country that you then return a hero. Do you feel like that?
I wouldn't say that I returned a hero. I returned the same Adrian Havelock that everybody knows. You know, you can call me anytime, you can message me anytime, and I'm there for you. Really and truly, you know, people say I'm putting Trinidad and Tobago on the map, or I'm putting Faizabad on the map. It's more about enjoying the journey, enjoying the process. You know, it's not about just working towards your goal, because you have to enjoy the steps that you take while you're working towards your goal. And I think because of that joy, and I love sharing it with everybody, I think it inspires them as well.
You talk about following your joy. Did you always want to be a success story the way that you are? When you first entered sales at the age of 19, did you see yourself saying, you know what, I'm going to sell BMWs down here, but in 5 years' time, I'm going to be talking to BMW in Germany, in England, everywhere else to tell them how it's done? Did you set that goal for yourself?
When I was at BMW, I did set the goal after 6 years of successful sales, saying, you know what, I want to become a BMW trainer. And that's how the entire training and sales training for companies came up, with me just exploring that new territory, let's say.
What drives you? What do you think makes your success story different to anyone else that's running a 9-to-5 job every single day?
Taking risks. I like facing new challenges. I love exploring, you know, what are the chances of me succeeding versus failing? Because it's a 50-50 chance. A lot of times people think about, oh God, what if it goes wrong? What if it goes right?
Your closing advice, because it is about 50-50 risk. And I think I'm probably one of the most risk-averse human beings on the planet. What do you want to say to the next generation for the young persons looking at you now, the young men and women in Faizabad, who would look at you and know that you walked on the red carpet in LA with some of the biggest names in the world of writing, and you've been recognized for it?
I'd say the world is constantly changing, technology is evolving, and a lot of jobs that exist today will not exist in 5 years and 10 years from now. So pursue something that you are passionate about, that you are happy doing, what gives you joy inside, and you will achieve success. Just do what makes you happy. Don't follow what anybody else says. If it gives you joy, you're going to live a fulfilling life, and fulfillment is all that matters.
If you're not fulfilled, you're not happy, and you're not getting joy where you are, move. That's the quick advice there. We take a short break, and congratulations, and thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you
Take a
very
short
much.
break. When we come back, we'll have more for you. Stay with us. This is the Morning Brew.